Okay, so AI agents. I know they're all the buzz right now.
Yeah.
And it seems like they're,
Yeah.
they're everywhere. So today we're going to take a deep dive into what they really are, and more specifically, how we can use them to build intelligent, decentralized applications on ArcBlock. Think about dApps that can respond to events as they happen and automate complex tasks and even personalize themselves to each user. That's the kind of power we can unlock with agents on ArcBlock.
Yeah, it's really exciting to see us moving beyond just those
Exactly.
static dApps, right? Stepping into this new world where applications can kind of think and act on their own. The agents white paper, it lays a really solid foundation for understanding these concepts. But we're going to go a little bit further today. We're going to focus on how these concepts actually translate to building on ArcBlock specifically and how we can use ANY, which is ArcBlock's serverless computing platform.
Right, exactly. And let's get into some specifics here. One of the things that really caught my eye was how agents can supercharge a dApp's capabilities on ArcBlock. But it's not just about interacting with the blockchain, right?
Right. It's more about combining that power of
Right.
the ArcBlock blockchain with the flexibility
Yeah.
of AIM functions. And that combination is really what lets agents pull in real-time data, not just from the blockchain, but from external sources as well. So for you developers out there, what this means is your dApps can be constantly updating, reacting to changes as they happen, giving your users, a really dynamic and engaging experience.
Okay, so let's paint a picture for our listeners. What would this actually look like in a real-world dApp?
Okay, so let's imagine for a second. You're building a decentralized finance application, right? DeFi application on ArcBlock. You could have an agent that's constantly monitoring an ArcBlock smart contract for any, specific events that you define, like incoming payments or changes in token prices, let's say.
So the agent is kind of like a vigilant watchdog,
Right.
always scanning the blockchain for anything that's relevant. So what happens when what happens next?
Well, as soon as that agent detects one of those trigger events, it can spring into action. It can use an AIM function to, let's say, update a user's balance or send them a personalized notification or even execute a trade, based on a set of predefined rules. And here's the best part. All of this happens automatically in the background without any manual intervention required.
Wow, that's impressive. It's like having a super efficient automated assistant working 24/7 behind the scenes of your dApp. But these agents, how do they actually think? And how do they make these decisions? We hear a lot about cognitive architectures, and specifically the orchestration layer. But what does that really mean for developers?
Yeah, so that's the brains of the operation. That orchestration layer is the framework. That defines how an agent processes information, plans its actions, and ultimately makes decisions, right? It's the agent's operating system. And ANG's serverless infrastructure provides that perfect environment for these complex workflows to run smoothly and reliably.
Okay, so Andy is kind of like the conductor of an orchestra, right? Making sure that all the different parts of the agent's brain are working together in harmony. But we also need to make sure that those agents are playing the right tune, right? This brings us to the question of tools. What kind of tools do developers have at their disposal to make sure these agents can actually interact with the ArcBlock blockchain and the wider world in general?
So there are three main types of tools that I think are essential for any developer building agents on ArcBlock. First, you have direct integration with the ArcBlock SDK, and this gives developers that power to build custom extensions, allowing their agents to directly talk to the blockchain so they can manage identities, call smart contracts, pull in all that valuable on-chain data.
So it's like giving the agent a backstage pass to the blockchain with full access to all the action. What else do we have in our toolkit?
Next, we have AIM functions, acting as extensions. And this is like giving your agents superpowers, right? They can perform complex calculations, transform data, and even tap into external APIs and services. And all of this happens off-chain, which means you're not bogging down the blockchain. With every little task, it keeps things running smoothly and efficiently.
Yeah, I can see how that would be a huge advantage for developers. So it's all about using the right tool for the right job. What about that third type of tool you mentioned?
Right. The third essential tool is data storage and retrieval. And AIM provides a really robust and secure way to store all the information that your agents need, both historical blockchain data and those external data sets. You can think of it as the agent's memory. This allows agents to analyze trends, make more informed decisions, and even learn from past experiences.
That's incredible. It's like having a dApp that's constantly getting smarter
Yeah.
and more personalized over time.
Welcome back to our deep dive. So far, we've laid a pretty solid foundation about what agents are and how they can enhance those dApps built on ArcBlock. But now I think it's time to shift our focus a bit to actually building these intelligent dApps, starting with the tools and techniques that are available to developers.
Okay, yeah, let's roll up our sleeves and get a little hands-on here. But before we jump into all the specifics, can you just give us like a quick recap of the key components we should be keeping in mind when we're building with these agents on ArcBlock?
Absolutely. So remember, we're operating within that ArcBlock ecosystem, right? So we have that robust ArcBlock blockchain, which gives us that decentralized foundation for our dApps. And then we have AIN, which is ArcBlock's serverless computing platform. And it plays a really critical role in orchestrating and empowering those agents that really bring our dApps to life.
Okay, so it's like the dynamic duo of the decentralized world. But what about the agents themselves? What are the essential building blocks that that developers really need to consider?
So think of an agent as like a mini program with a very specific goal, like a tiny self-contained application within your dApp. It needs a way to perceive its environment, process the information it receives, and then, act to achieve its objective.
So it's like a little robot running around in our dApp, carrying out its mission.
Yeah, that's a great way to visualize it. And each of those steps, the perceiving, the processing, and the acting, they all require specific tools and techniques.
Okay, I'm with you so far. So let's start with perceiving. How do these agents get access to all the information they need to make those decisions?
Right, so that's where the ArcBlock SDK and AIN functions really become essential, right? Because remember, we want our agents to be able to tap into data, both from on-chain sources like the ArcBlock blockchain and off-chain sources, right? Like external APIs or databases.
Okay, so it's all about giving these agents that 360-degree view of the world, right?
Yeah.
Both inside and outside the dApp. So how do we actually make that happen?
So let's start with that on-chain data. The ArcBlock SDK allows developers to create those custom extensions that
enable their agents to directly interact
with the blockchain, right? So they can read the current state of smart contracts. They can query historical transactions, even listen for, specific events that might be relevant to their goals.
So it's like giving the agent a direct line to the blockchain's, central nervous system. What about off-chain data? How to bring that into the picture?
Right. So that's where AIN functions come in, right?
Yeah.
With AIN, developers can connect their agents to external APIs, databases, even cloud services. And this allows those agents to access a wealth of information beyond just the blockchain itself, giving them, a much richer understanding of the world that they're operating in.
Okay, so we've given our agents the ability to see and hear everything that's happening around them. But perception is only half the battle, right? How do they actually make sense of all this information? That's where the processing comes in.
Exactly. Yeah, processing is where things start to get really interesting, because we need to equip our agents with the ability to filter, analyze, and interpret the data that they receive. It's not just about collecting information. It's about actually understanding what it means and how to act on it.
Okay, so we're not just talking about simple if-then-else statements here. We need something a little bit more sophisticated, something that can handle the complexity of the real world. So what tools can developers actually use to achieve that level of processing power?
Yeah, so there are several powerful techniques that developers can leverage. One approach is to use rule-based systems, where the agents follow these predefined rules to make decisions. And this is really great for handling, those straightforward scenarios.
It makes sense, but what if the situation is a little more nuanced, a little more unpredictable?
Yeah, for those more complex situations, developers can turn to things like machine learning or even deep learning algorithms. And these techniques allow agents to actually learn from their experiences and adapt their behavior based on patterns in the data that they observe.
Wow, so it's like the agents are actually getting smarter and more adaptable over time. But how do they remember what they've learned? Do they have some kind of memory bank?
Right, so that's where data storage comes in. AIN provides a secure and scalable way to store all of the information that those agents need, including the data that they've collected, the rules that they follow, and the patterns that they've learned. And this memory is essential for agents to continuously improve their decision-making processes.
Okay, so we've covered perceiving and processing. Now let's talk about that final piece of the puzzle, acting. How do these agents actually translate their understanding of the world into, tangible actions within a dApp?
Yeah, so this is really where the real power of agents comes into play. With the right tools, agents can directly interact with the ArcBlock blockchain and the wider digital world as well, They can execute transactions, update data, send notifications, even trigger actions in those external systems.
But they're not just,
Yeah,
passive observers. They can actually shape the course of events.
exactly, yeah. So the ArcBlock SDK gives those agents that ability to interact with smart contracts, which are the building blocks of those decentralized applications. So they can trigger actions like transferring tokens, updating data on the blockchain, even creating new smart contracts.
It's like giving the agent the ability to write and execute code on the blockchain. What about actions beyond the blockchain itself?
Right. So AIM functions give those agents that ability to extend their reach into that off-chain world. They can connect to those external APIs, send emails or text messages, interact with social media platforms, even control physical devices. In the real world.
Wow, the possibilities seem endless. But let's bring this down to earth for a second. Can you walk us through how all these pieces come together to create, a real-world agent-powered dApp?
Okay, so let's imagine for a second you're building a decentralized marketplace for digital art on ArcBlock, right? Each piece of art is tokenized as a unique digital asset on the blockchain, and artists can showcase and sell their creations directly to collectors.
Okay, I love that idea. It sounds like a great way to empower both artists and collectors. How could agents actually enhance that experience?
So imagine an agent that acts as like a personalized art curator for each user on the platform. This agent could track the user's browsing history, the art pieces that they've liked or purchased, even their social interactions within the marketplace.
It's like having a little digital art expert who gets to know your taste and helps you discover, those new gems.
Yeah, exactly. And here's how it would work. The agent could use the ArcBlock SDK to analyze the characteristics of each art piece on the blockchain. Things like, the artist, the style, the color palette, even the historical sales data. And then, by combining that on-chain data with the user's profile, the agent can generate personalized recommendations, suggesting art pieces that really align with the user's preferences.
That's incredibly cool. But what if I'm looking for something a little outside my usual taste? Can the agent help me, broaden my horizons a bit?
Absolutely, yeah. The agent can be programmed to introduce users to new artists or styles that they might not have discovered on their own. It could even use, AIM functions to connect to external art databases or social media platforms, pulling in trending art topics or emerging artistic movements.
Oh, so it's like having a digital curator who not only knows your taste, but can also help you expand your artistic palette. What other amazing things can we do with agents in this decentralized art marketplace?
So we could create an agent that monitors the art market in real time, right? Looking for patterns or anomalies that might be of interest to collectors. It could alert users to sudden spikes in demand for certain artists or styles, helping them make those more informed investment decisions.
Yeah, now that's a powerful feature for any serious art collector. Are there any other ways that agents could benefit the artists themselves?
Of course, yeah, we could develop an agent that helps artists manage their portfolio of digital art, right? It could track the provenance of each piece, ensure its authenticity, even automate the process of transferring ownership when a sale occurred. And this would really streamline that entire art selling process, giving artists more time to focus on their creative work.
It's amazing to think how agents can add that whole new layer of intelligence and efficiency to a dApp. It feels like we're just scratching the surface of what's possible.
We are, and this is just one example, right? The power of agents extends far beyond just the world of art. We can apply these same principles to build intelligent dApps in any field, from finance and gaming to healthcare and logistics.
Okay, so this has been an incredible exploration of how to build agent-powered dApps. We've covered the essential components, the tools, and the techniques, and we even saw how it all comes together in a practical example.
Yeah, but our journey isn't over yet. We've talked about the how, right? But there's an even bigger question that we need to answer. Why? What makes these agent-powered dApps so compelling? Why should developers be excited about building this new generation of decentralized applications? And that's what we're going to explore in the final part of our deep dive.
All right, welcome back to the final part of our deep dive into agents on ArcBlock. We've talked about we've unpacked the what and the how, but now I'm really curious about the why. What makes these agent-powered dApps so compelling? What kind of future are we actually unlocking with this technology?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I think the answer really lies in understanding that fundamental shift that blockchain technology represents. We're moving away from this world of centralized control to a world of Decentralized trust and autonomy.
Okay, I'm following you. But how do agents really fit into this decentralized future? What makes them such a game changer for dApp development?
Well, think about it. Blockchain gives us this incredible foundation for building applications that are transparent, secure, and resistant to censorship. But traditionally, dApps have been relatively static, right?
Yeah,
Limited in their capabilities.
Right, it's mostly about simple transactions or executing smart contracts.
Exactly, yeah. But with agents, we can bring that whole new level of intelligence and dynamism to dApps. Agents can act as these autonomous representatives, right?
Yeah.
Interacting with the blockchain, managing data, making decisions on behalf of users, all without needing, that constant human intervention.
So it's like we're creating this digital workforce powered by AI that can operate seamlessly within this decentralized world.
Yeah, that's a perfect way to put it. And this opens up a world of possibilities for solving those problems that traditional centralized applications just simply can't address. Let's take supply chain management as an example.
Okay, yeah, we've touched on this before, but I'm curious to hear more about how agents can really take supply chain transparency and efficiency to that whole new level.
So imagine a future where every product, every shipment has its own dedicated agent, right? Acting as this digital passport that accompanies it throughout its entire journey.
So it's like a tiny invisible guardian angel keeping track of everything.
Exactly, yeah. And this agent would store all the essential information about the product, right? Its origin, its manufacturing process, its current location, its condition, even the relevant certifications or customs documents.
Wow, that's a lot of information.
Right.
But what makes this different from just having like a centralized database with all this data?
Right, so here's the key difference. Because this information is stored and managed by an agent on the blockchain. It's tamper-proof, it's transparent, and it's accessible to all those authorized parties in the supply chain.
Okay, so everyone involved, from the manufacturer to the retailer to the end consumer, can have complete confidence in the authenticity and the integrity
of that information.
Exactly. And it goes beyond just transparency. These agents can also automate many of those complex processes that really plague those traditional supply chains. They can handle, customs declarations, verify compliance with regulations, even manage payments and escrow services.
Wow. So it sounds like you're taking this logistical nightmare and transforming it into the seamless automated flow. But how would this system actually work in practice? Who would create and manage these agents?
So imagine a platform built on ArcBlock, right, where businesses can easily create and deploy these agent-based solutions. Each participant in the supply chain could have their own agents, right, working together to orchestrate that movement of goods. So like a collaborative network of intelligent agents, each one playing its part to make sure everything runs smoothly.
Precisely. And Amy would play that critical role in facilitating that communication and coordination between those agents, ensuring that, everyone's on the same page and that the data is flowing seamlessly.
Okay, I'm starting to see the power of this. It's not just about, those individual agents. It's about creating this entire ecosystem of intelligent agents working together. But let's shift gears for a moment. What about other industries? How could agent-powered dApps transform fields like healthcare or finance?
Right, let's take healthcare. Imagine a world where patients have complete control over their medical records, securely stored and managed by a personal health agent on the ArcBlock blockchain.
Okay, yeah, I can definitely see those privacy and security benefits. But what else could these health agents do?
Oh, they could do so much. They could monitor your vital signs using wearable devices, remind you to take your medications, even provide personalized health recommendations based on your medical history and lifestyle.
So it's like having a 24/7 digital health companion, always looking out for your well-being.
Exactly, yeah. And because these agents are built on a decentralized platform, they're not beholden to any single company or institution, right? So you have true ownership and control over your own health data.
That's a game changer. And I bet these agents could also play a role in medical research, right? Helping scientists analyze large data sets while still preserving patient privacy.
Absolutely, yeah. The possibilities are truly endless. In finance, we could have agents that manage our investments, help us make informed financial decisions, even protect us from fraud.
It's like having a personal financial advisor who's always working behind the scenes, optimizing our financial well-being.
Right, and these are just a few examples. The point is that agent-powered dApps have the potential to revolutionize almost every aspect of our digital lives, creating a future that's more efficient, more equitable, And more empowering.
This has been an incredible journey. We've gone from the technical details of building agents to this grand vision of a future powered by these intelligent, autonomous applications.
Yeah, and the most exciting part is that we're really just at the beginning, right? As blockchain technology continues to evolve, and as AI becomes more sophisticated, we can expect to see even more innovative and transformative applications of these agents on ArcBlock.
Yeah, I'm feeling incredibly inspired. Any final thoughts for our listeners who are eager to dive into this world of agent-powered dApps?
Yeah, my advice is to start exploring, start experimenting, and start building. The ArcBlock platform provides all the tools and resources that you need to get started. And remember, the most important ingredient is your own creativity and imagination. What unique problems can you solve with this technology? What kind of future do you want to build? The possibilities are really limited only by your own vision.
That's a perfect note to end on. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into the world of agents on ArcBlock. It's clear that we're on the cusp of a new era of decentralized applications. And I can't wait to see what amazing things you, our listeners, will create